Stars collide, Chronicles of the Human-Stundil Conflict. Chapter 1, First Contact. The void of space stretched endlessly, punctuated by distant stars and swirling nebulae. Amongst this cosmic tapestry, humanity's presence was but a small flicker of light, expanding slowly outward as their ships ventured into the unknown. The crew of the USS Horizon, a sleek exploration vessel equipped with the latest in warp drive technology, had embarked on a routine scouting mission along the fringes of explored space. Their mission: to chart new star systems, catalog celestial phenomena, and perhaps stumble upon the faint signals of extraterrestrial life. Captain Sarah Reynolds stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the viewscreen that displayed the infinite expanse before them. She was a seasoned explorer, with years of experience navigating the complexities of space. But even she couldn't shake the sense of anticipation that tingled in the air as they ventured deeper into uncharted territory. "Any signs of activity, Lieutenant?" Captain Reynolds inquired, turning to her second-in-command, Lieutenant Jackson, who manned the sensor array. "Negative, Captain," Lieutenant Jackson replied, his fingers dancing across the console. "Scans show nothing but empty space for parsecs in every direction." Captain Reynolds nodded, her brow furrowing slightly. Despite the lack of tangible evidence, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the cusp of something extraordinary. Little did she know, that moment was about to arrive sooner than expected. "Captain, I'm detecting a strange energy signature on long-range sensors," Lieutenant Jackson announced, his voice tinged with uncertainty. "It's unlike anything we've encountered before." Captain Reynolds stepped closer to the sensor array, studying the readings with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. The energy signature appeared to be growing stronger with each passing moment, indicating that whatever it was headed their way. "Bring us to full alert status," Captain Reynolds ordered, her voice firm and commanding. "I want all hands on deck and weapons systems at the ready." As the crew sprang into action, tension thickened on the bridge as they waited for the approaching anomaly to reveal itself. Minutes stretched into hours, each passing moment fraught with anticipation. Then, suddenly, it happened. A rift in spacetime tore open before them, a swirling vortex of energy and light unlike anything they had ever witnessed. And emerging from the heart of the anomaly came a ship unlike any they had ever seen. It was sleek and angular, its hull adorned with strange markings and symbols that defied human understanding. As it drew closer, Captain Reynolds could make out the unmistakable silhouette of an alien vessel, its origins shrouded in mystery. "Contact the ship," Captain Reynolds ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Let's see if we can establish communication." As the transmission was sent out into the void, the bridge fell silent, awaiting a response from the unknown vessel. And then, after what felt like an eternity, a voice crackled to life over the intercom, speaking in a language that was both alien and yet strangely familiar. "Attention, unidentified vessel," the voice intoned, its tone echoing with an air of authority. "You have entered Stundil territory. State your intentions or prepare to face the consequences." And with those words, the stage was set for humanity's first contact with the enigmatic Stundil race, a moment that would forever alter the course of history among the stars. Chapter 2, Unveiling Histories. In the wake of the dramatic encounter with the Stundil vessel, the USS Horizon retreated to a safe distance, its crew buzzing with speculation and apprehension. Captain Sarah Reynolds retreated to her ready room, seeking solace in the quiet confines as she pondered the implications of their encounter. Seated at her desk, Captain Reynolds activated the holographic display, summoning a wealth of data on the Stundil race. Information was scant, pieced together from scattered reports and ancient myths passed down through generations. Yet, as she delved deeper, a clearer picture began to emerge. The Stundil, it seemed, were a race shrouded in mystery, their origins lost to the annals of time. According to legend, they hailed from a distant corner of the galaxy, emerging from the depths of space to lay claim to vast swaths of territory with a fierce determination that bordered on fanaticism. But it was their interactions with humanity that proved most illuminating. Records indicated sporadic encounters dating back centuries, each marked by violence and bloodshed as humans and Stundil clashed over disputed territories and coveted resources. These conflicts had left scars on both sides, fueling deep-seated animosities that persisted to this day. As Captain Reynolds pored over the historical accounts, she couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The Stundil were formidable adversaries, their technology and military prowess far outstripping anything humanity had ever encountered. And yet, there was something else, something lurking beneath the surface of their enigmatic facade. Rumors whispered of ancient alliances and forgotten alliances, of dark secrets buried deep within the heart of Stundil society. As Captain Reynolds sifted through the data, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the Stundil than met the eye, that their motivations ran deeper than simple conquest or expansion. But before she could delve any further, a chime sounded, signaling an incoming transmission. Captain Reynolds straightened in her chair, steeling herself for whatever news awaited on the other end of the line. "Captain Reynolds," came the voice of Lieutenant Jackson, his tone urgent. "We've received a communication from the Stundil vessel. They're requesting a diplomatic meeting to discuss the terms of our encounter." Captain Reynolds nodded, a sense of resolve settling over her. It was time to face the Stundil head-on, to confront the ghosts of the past and pave the way for a future of peace and cooperation among the stars. "Prepare the shuttle," Captain Reynolds ordered, rising to her feet. "We have a meeting to attend." As the USS Horizon moved closer to the awaiting Stundil vessel, tensions ran high among the crew. But deep down, Captain Reynolds harbored a flicker of hope that perhaps, just perhaps, this encounter could mark the beginning of a new chapter in the tumultuous history of humanity and the Stundil. Chapter 3: Echoes of War. Within the dimly lit confines of the USS Horizon's briefing room, Captain Sarah Reynolds gathered her senior officers to delve into the depths of history, seeking to unearth the echoes of conflict that reverberated through the annals of time. The holographic projector hummed to life, casting flickering images of battles long past onto the walls. As the officers settled into their seats, Captain Reynolds began the briefing, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of strife. "Our encounter with the Stundil has brought to light a long and bloody history between our two species," she began, her gaze sweeping across the gathered faces. "It is a history marked by violence and betrayal, by the clash of civilizations driven by greed and ambition." Lieutenant Commander Patel, the ship's chief engineer, raised a hand, her brow furrowed in thought. "Captain, do we have any records of previous conflicts with the Stundil? Anything that might shed light on their tactics or technology?" Captain Reynolds nodded, gesturing to the holographic display. "Indeed, Lieutenant Commander. Our archives contain accounts of several skirmishes dating back centuries. The Stundil are formidable adversaries, with technology far beyond our own. Their ships are sleek and agile, armed with weapons capable of tearing through our defenses with ease." Lieutenant Jackson, the ship's communications officer, spoke up next, his voice tinged with concern. "But what about their motivations, Captain? Why have they chosen to confront us now, after all this time?" Captain Reynolds sighed, her expression grave. "That, Lieutenant, is the million-credit question. The Stundil are a reclusive species, their motives shrouded in secrecy. Some speculate that they seek to expand their territory, while others believe they are driven by a desire for revenge for past grievances." As the officers mulled over the implications of their situation, Captain Reynolds continued the briefing, delving deeper into the historical records. Tales of heroism and sacrifice emerged from the depths of time, highlighting the bravery of those who had fought and died in the name of freedom and justice. But amidst the tales of valor, there were darker truths lurking in the shadows. Stories of betrayal and treachery, of alliances forged and broken, served as a sobering reminder of the complexities of war and the toll it exacted on both sides. As the briefing drew to a close, Captain Reynolds rose to her feet, her gaze steady and unwavering. "We stand on the precipice of war, my friends," she declared, her voice ringing with conviction. "But let us not forget the lessons of the past. We must strive to forge a path towards peace, to seek understanding and common ground with our adversaries. for only then can we hope to break the cycle of violence that has plagued our galaxy for far too long." With those words echoing in their ears, the officers dispersed, each carrying with them the weight of history as they prepared for the challenges that lay ahead. And amidst the echoes of war that haunted their every step, a glimmer of hope flickered in the darkness, a beacon of light guiding them towards a future of possibility and redemption. Chapter 4: Diplomatic Gambits. In the hushed corridors of the USS Horizon, whispers of uncertainty mingled with the hum of activity as the crew prepared for the next phase of their encounter with the enigmatic Stundil. Diplomatic overtures had been made, and now it was time to navigate the treacherous waters of negotiation in hopes of averting all-out conflict. Captain Sarah Reynolds convened a meeting with her senior staff in the ship's conference room, the tension palpable in the air as they gathered around the sleek, polished table. "Lieutenant Jackson, have we received a response from the Stundil regarding our offer of diplomatic dialogue?" Captain Reynolds inquired, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. Lieutenant Jackson nodded, his fingers flying across the console before him. "Yes, Captain. The Stundil have agreed to meet with us aboard their vessel to discuss the terms of engagement." A murmur of apprehension rippled through the room as the officers exchanged wary glances. Diplomatic negotiations with a species as inscrutable as the Stundil were fraught with peril, their motives and intentions veiled behind a curtain of mystery. "Very well," Captain Reynolds said, her tone resolute. "Prepare a shuttle for departure. We'll meet with the Stundil delegation at their earliest convenience." As the crew sprang into action, preparing for the diplomatic mission ahead, Captain Reynolds retreated to her ready room to formulate a strategy. The Stundil were formidable adversaries, their agenda unclear, and she knew that every word spoken during the upcoming negotiations would carry weight. Hours later, aboard the sleek Stundil vessel, tensions ran high as the two delegations gathered in the ornate conference chamber. Captain Reynolds and her officers sat opposite their Stundil counterparts, their expressions guarded as they awaited the opening salvo of dialogue. "Captain Reynolds," spoke the Stundil emissary, their voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "We appreciate your willingness to engage in diplomatic discourse. However, let us be clear, the territorial disputes between our species are non-negotiable." Captain Reynolds met the Stundil emissary's gaze with a steely resolve. "We understand your concerns," she replied evenly. "But surely there must be a way for us to coexist peacefully, to find common ground that benefits both our peoples." The negotiations stretched on for hours, each side presenting their demands and grievances with impassioned fervor. Yet amidst the heated debate, a glimmer of progress emerged, as tentative agreements were reached on matters of trade and resource allocation. As the meeting drew to a close, Captain Reynolds and the Stundil emissary exchanged a final nod of respect, acknowledging the fragile truce they had forged. The path to peace was still fraught with obstacles, but for now, a flicker of hope burned bright amidst the darkness of uncertainty. Back aboard the USS Horizon, the crew breathed a collective sigh of relief as they prepared to depart from Stundil territory. The diplomatic gambit had paid off, if only temporarily, and as the ship hurtled through the void of space towards the next unknown horizon, they carried with them the promise of a future where cooperation, rather than conflict, reigned supreme. Chapter 5: Betrayal Among Stars. On the bridge of the USS Horizon, the hum of activity was punctuated by tense whispers as the crew grappled with the aftermath of their diplomatic mission to the Stundil vessel. Despite the tentative agreements reached during negotiations, an undercurrent of unease lingered in the air, casting a shadow over the ship's corridors. Captain Sarah Reynolds stood at the helm, her brow furrowed in thought as she pondered the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. The Stundil were formidable adversaries, their motives shrouded in mystery, and she knew that the fragile peace they had brokered could unravel at any moment. "Captain," came the voice of Lieutenant Commander Patel, her tone grave as she approached Captain Reynolds. "We've received an encrypted transmission from an anonymous source. It appears to contain sensitive information regarding the Stundil." Captain Reynolds frowned, her instincts on high alert. "Patch it through to my ready room," she ordered, striding purposefully towards the privacy of her quarters. Alone in her ready room, Captain Reynolds activated the holoscreen, watching intently as the transmission played out before her. The image flickered to life, revealing a shadowy figure cloaked in darkness, their voice distorted to mask their identity. "Captain Reynolds," spoke the mysterious informant, their words laced with urgency. "You must be wary of the Stundil. They cannot be trusted. Their intentions are far from honorable." A chill ran down Captain Reynolds' spine as she listened to the informant's warning. Betrayal was a specter that haunted the darkest corners of the galaxy, and now it seemed it had found its way into their midst. "Who are you?" Captain Reynolds demanded, her voice tinged with suspicion. "And why are you reaching out to us now?" The informant hesitated, their voice strained with uncertainty. "I cannot reveal my identity," they replied cryptically. "But know this, the Stundil are not what they seem. They have ulterior motives that threaten the stability of the entire galaxy. You must uncover the truth before it's too late." With those ominous words, the transmission abruptly cut off, leaving Captain Reynolds alone with her thoughts. The informant's warning weighed heavily on her mind as she considered their implications. Back on the bridge, Captain Reynolds convened a meeting with her senior officers to discuss their next course of action. The revelation of potential betrayal among the Stundil cast a pall over the crew, but they remained resolute in their determination to uncover the truth. "We cannot afford to ignore this warning," Captain Reynolds declared, her voice firm. "We must proceed with caution, but we cannot allow ourselves to be blindsided by deceit. The fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance, and it's up to us to ensure that justice prevails." With a renewed sense of purpose, the crew of the USS Horizon set course for the heart of Stundil territory, their resolve unshakable as they braced themselves for the inevitable confrontation that lay ahead. Betrayal may lurk among the stars, but they would not rest until the truth was revealed and the galaxy secured from the machinations of those who sought to sow chaos and discord. Chapter 6: The Battle for Resources. As tensions simmered between humanity and the Stundil, the struggle for control over vital resources intensified, sparking a series of skirmishes and conflicts across contested territories. The vast expanse of space became a battleground, with ships from both factions vying for dominance over valuable commodities that lay scattered among the stars. On the bridge of the USS Horizon, Captain Sarah Reynolds monitored the unfolding chaos with a heavy heart. The Stundil were relentless in their pursuit of resources, their ships descending upon mining outposts and trading hubs with ruthless efficiency. Meanwhile, humanity's own efforts to secure vital supplies were met with fierce resistance as Stundil fleets moved to intercept and blockade their every move. "We're being stretched thin," Captain, Lieutenant Commander Patel, the ship's chief engineer, remarked grimly as she studied the tactical display. "The Stundil have us outnumbered and outgunned at every turn. We can't keep this up for much longer." Captain Reynolds nodded, her expression grave. The situation was dire, with supplies dwindling and morale plummeting as the crew grappled with the harsh realities of war. But amidst the chaos, a glimmer of hope emerged as reports filtered in of a remote asteroid belt rumored to contain untold riches. "Plot a course for the asteroid belt," Captain Reynolds ordered, her voice resolute. "We may not have the firepower to match the Stundil head-on, but if we can secure those resources, it could give us the edge we need to turn the tide of this conflict." As the USS Horizon set course for the asteroid belt, tensions ran high among the crew, their eyes fixed on the horizon as they prepared for the inevitable confrontation that lay ahead. Forging through the void of space, they braced themselves for the battle to come, their determination unwavering in the face of overwhelming odds. Upon arrival at the asteroid belt, the crew sprang into action, deploying mining drones and setting up makeshift refineries to extract the precious resources buried within the rocky depths. But their efforts were soon met with resistance as Stundil patrols descended upon them, their weapons blazing as they sought to drive humanity from their newfound prize. The asteroid belt erupted into chaos as ships from both factions clashed amidst the swirling debris, lasers, and missiles lighting up the void in a dazzling display of firepower. The battle raged on, each side locked in a desperate struggle for supremacy as they fought tooth and nail for control over the rich bounty that lay within their grasp. But amidst the chaos and carnage, a moment of clarity emerged as Captain Reynolds realized the futility of their conflict. The resources they fought over were finite, but the potential for cooperation and mutual benefit was infinite. With that realization in mind, she issued a bold command, reaching out to the Stundil with an offer of truce and cooperation in the pursuit of a brighter future for all. As the echoes of battle faded into the void, humanity and the Stundil stood poised on the brink of a new era of collaboration and understanding, their shared struggle for resources paving the way for a future where cooperation, rather than conflict, reigned supreme among the stars. Chapter 7: Legends of Heroes. As the dust settled from the intense battles over resources, tales of heroism and bravery emerged from the shadows of conflict, illuminating the darkness of war with a shining light of courage and sacrifice. On the USS Horizon, the crew gathered in the mess hall, their voices hushed in reverence as they exchanged stories of valor and selflessness that had unfolded amidst the chaos of battle. Captain Sarah Reynolds presided over the gathering, her heart swelling with pride as she listened to the tales of her crew's heroism. Each story was a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, there were those who would rise above the fray to defend what they held dear. "Tell us about Lieutenant Anderson," one crew member requested, their eyes shining with admiration. "I heard he single-handedly disabled a Stundil cruiser with nothing but a makeshift ion cannon and a prayer." A chorus of murmurs and nods rippled through the crowd as Lieutenant Anderson's exploits were recounted with awe and reverence. His actions had become the stuff of legend among the crew, inspiring others to stand tall in the face of adversity and fight for what they believed in. "And what about Ensign Ramirez?" another crew member chimed in. "I heard she led a daring rescue mission to save a stranded mining crew from certain doom at the hands of the Stundil." Captain Reynolds smiled, her chest swelling with pride at the mention of Ensign Ramirez's bravery. Her courage in the face of danger had not only saved lives, but had served as a beacon of hope for those who had faced the wrath of the Stundil firsthand. As the stories flowed like a river of inspiration, Captain Reynolds felt a sense of kinship and camaraderie wash over the crew. They were more than just soldiers and officers, they were a family bound together by the bonds of duty and sacrifice, united in their shared struggle against the forces of darkness that threatened to engulf them. But amidst the tales of heroism and valor, there were also moments of quiet reflection, as the crew remembered those who had fallen in the line of duty. Their sacrifices would not be forgotten, their memories immortalized in the annals of history as symbols of courage and devotion. As the gathering drew to a close, Captain Reynolds stood before her crew, her voice ringing with pride and gratitude. "We may face uncertain times ahead, but as long as we stand together, there is nothing we cannot overcome," she declared, her words echoing through the halls of the USS Horizon. And as the crew dispersed, each carrying with them the memory of their comrades' bravery, they knew that no matter what trials lay ahead, they would face them with unwavering courage and unwavering resolve. For they were not just soldiers, they were heroes, destined to carve their names into the stars for all eternity. Chapter 8: Into the Unknown. With the echoes of battle still lingering in the void of space, the crew of the USS Horizon embarked on a daring mission into uncharted territory, venturing beyond the boundaries of known space in search of answers that eluded them. Their destination, a mysterious sector of the galaxy rumored to hold ancient secrets and untold dangers. Captain Sarah Reynolds stood on the bridge, her gaze fixed on the swirling expanse of stars that stretched out before them. Beside her, Lieutenant Commander Patel manned the navigation console, plotting a course through the uncharted depths of space. "Are we ready to engage the warp drive?" Captain Reynolds inquired, her voice steady despite the uncertainty that lay ahead. Lieutenant Commander Patel nodded, her fingers dancing across the controls. "All systems are online and at full capacity, Captain. We're ready to make the jump whenever you give the word." Captain Reynolds glanced around the bridge at her crew, a mixture of excitement and apprehension reflected in their eyes. They were venturing into the unknown, into a realm where danger lurked around every corner and the unexpected awaited them at every turn. But they were undeterred, their determination unwavering in the face of uncertainty. "Engage the warp drive," Captain Reynolds commanded, her voice ringing out with authority. With a flash of light and a low hum that reverberated through the hull, the USS Horizon surged forward into the depths of space, hurtling towards the unknown at speeds that defied comprehension. The stars streaked past in a blur of light, the ship's sensors straining to keep pace with the ever-changing landscape of the cosmos. As they journeyed deeper into uncharted territory, the crew encountered strange phenomena and alien anomalies that defied explanation. Nebulae of swirling gas and dust danced on the edge of perception, while distant stars flickered like distant beacons in the darkness. But amidst the wonders of the cosmos, there were also dangers lurking in the shadows, waiting to ensnare the unwary traveler. Rogue asteroids hurtled through space with reckless abandon, while gravitational anomalies threatened to tear the ship apart at its seams. Yet through it all, the crew of the USS Horizon pressed on, their resolve unyielding in the face of adversity. For they were explorers, adventurers, seekers of knowledge and truth in a universe that defied understanding. As they ventured deeper into the unknown, Captain Reynolds knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with peril and uncertainty. But she also knew that it was their destiny to push the boundaries of exploration, to boldly go where no one had gone before in search of answers that lay hidden among the stars. And with that knowledge burning bright in their hearts, they forged ahead into the unknown, ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead with courage and determination. Chapter 9: A Fragile Peace. In the aftermath of their daring expedition into uncharted space, the crew of the USS Horizon found themselves standing on the precipice of a new era. The echoes of conflict still lingered in the air, but amidst the lingering tension, a fragile peace had begun to take root, offering a glimmer of hope for a brighter future. On the bridge of the USS Horizon, Captain Sarah Reynolds monitored the diplomatic channels with a watchful eye, her senses attuned to the delicate balance of power that hung in the balance. The ceasefire brokered between humanity and the Stundil was tenuous at best, threatened by hidden agendas and simmering resentments that lingered beneath the surface. "Lieutenant Jackson, any updates on the status of the peace negotiations?" Captain Reynolds inquired, her voice calm and composed despite the uncertainty that gnawed at her insides. Lieutenant Jackson furrowed his brow as he studied the data streaming across his console. "Progress has been slow, Captain," he replied, his tone tinged with concern. "Both sides remain wary of each other's intentions, and there are still unresolved disputes over territory and resources." Captain Reynolds nodded, her expression grave. The path to lasting peace was fraught with obstacles, with mistrust and suspicion casting a shadow over even the most earnest attempts at reconciliation. But she refused to give in to despair, knowing that the stakes were too high to abandon hope. "We must continue to pursue diplomatic solutions," Captain Reynolds declared, her voice unwavering in its conviction. "We cannot allow the mistakes of the past to dictate the course of our future. We must strive to find common ground, to build bridges of understanding that transcend the barriers of mistrust and animosity." As the USS Horizon continued its patrols along the border of Stundil territory, Captain Reynolds and her crew remained vigilant, ever watchful for signs of trouble that threatened to unravel the fragile peace they had worked so hard to achieve. But despite their best efforts, tensions simmered beneath the surface, threatening to erupt into open conflict at any moment. Then, one fateful day, a distress signal pierced the silence of space, drawing the USS Horizon into the heart of a brewing crisis. A Stundil outpost had come under attack by a rogue faction within their own ranks, threatening to reignite the flames of war that had only just begun to flicker out. With time running out and the fate of the peace hanging in the balance, Captain Reynolds and her crew sprang into action, racing against the clock to quell the uprising and prevent a catastrophic escalation of violence. Their mission was fraught with danger, their every move scrutinized by friend and foe alike. But they pressed on, driven by a shared commitment to preserving the fragile peace that had been so painstakingly forged. In the end, through courage, sacrifice, and a willingness to set aside old grievances, the crew of the USS Horizon succeeded in averting disaster, bringing the rogue faction to justice and restoring order to the embattled outpost. And as they stood victorious amidst the ruins of conflict, Captain Reynolds knew that the road to lasting peace would be long and arduous, but with determination and perseverance, it was a journey they would undertake together, one step at a time. Chapter 10: Rebirth Among the Stars. As the dust settled on the recent crisis, a newfound sense of hope permeated the cosmos. The crew of the USS Horizon had played a pivotal role in preserving the fragile peace between humanity and the Stundil, and now, as they looked to the future, a sense of optimism filled the air. On the bridge of the USS Horizon, Captain Sarah Reynolds stood at the helm, her gaze fixed on the expanse of space before her. Beside her, Lieutenant Commander Patel manned the navigation console, plotting a course that would take them deeper into uncharted territory. Captain, the peace negotiations with the Stundil have shown promising signs of progress, Lieutenant Commander Patel reported, her voice tinged with excitement. It seems that both sides are finally beginning to see the benefits of cooperation over conflict. Captain Reynolds nodded, a smile playing at the corners of her lips. The road to peace had been long and arduous, fraught with challenges and obstacles that had tested their resolve at every turn. But now, as they stood on the brink of a new era, the possibilities seemed endless. Set a course for the furthest reaches of explored space, Captain Reynolds ordered, her voice filled with determination. There's a whole galaxy out there waiting to be discovered, and it's time for us to embark on a new chapter in our journey. As the USS Horizon surged forward into the unknown, the crew felt a sense of exhilaration wash over them. They were explorers, adventurers, pioneers of the cosmos, and with each passing moment, they felt the weight of history lifting from their shoulders, replaced by a sense of boundless potential. Their journey took them to distant star systems, alien worlds, and uncharted territories that defied imagination. They encountered strange and wondrous phenomena, made contact with new species and civilizations, and delved into the mysteries of the universe with a fervor that knew no bounds. But amidst the wonders of their journey, there were also moments of introspection and reflection, as the crew grappled with the lessons they had learned and the challenges they had overcome. They had faced adversity with courage and resilience, forged bonds of friendship and camaraderie that would endure for a lifetime, and emerged stronger and wiser for the trials they had endured. And as they journeyed ever onward, the crew of the USS Horizon knew that their adventure was far from over. For amidst the vast expanse of space, there were still mysteries waiting to be unraveled, discoveries waiting to be made, and adventures waiting to be had. But whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, united in their shared purpose and bound by the unbreakable bonds of friendship and camaraderie that had carried them through the darkest days of conflict and into the light of a new dawn. For they were explorers, adventurers, seekers of truth and knowledge in a universe that was vast and infinite, and with each passing moment, they were reborn among the stars.